Keyshawn's really had a good start to the season for you. He's almost averaging a double, eight blocks, 8 steals. Just talk about this play coming out of the gate.
Yeah, happy for Keyshawn. No one deserves success more than him. People that follow us know his history and how many injuries he's sustained, and all the time he's had to rehab and in the shadows and kind of wait to be healthy and get back on the court. And it's great to see him reap the benefits of his work and his patience. And we talked a lot about him going into the season, about what a great off-season he had in terms of his consistency with his mental and physical approach, and then his productivity in our practices. And it doesn't always get to the floor, but when it does, you love that story, because in theory that's the way you want them to work, right? The guys that work the hardest getting rewarded for their play on the court, and it's been so far so good theme for Keyshawn.
Go ahead, Paul.
Coach, obviously you've had time to go back and dissect the film of the Butler game, but when you look defensively, what stood out to you that caught your attention with your squad?
We were awful. We were awful on that end of the floor. We just, for whatever reason, did not maintain our identity. The previous night against UNLV, we got our defense into the game from the jump and controlled the game because of our defense. And for whatever reason, 24 hours later, we didn't have the same approach as a team. I'm not sure why. I don't understand why we didn't, but we did it. I mean, it was a bad performance defensively. We weren't great offensively, but it was definitely attributed to the defensive end of the floor. And I had this saying that I use with our guys all the time, and I'm not the only coach, I'm sure, but it always goes back to guarding the ball. Breakdowns that you see with open shots are normally attributed to something that happened earlier in that particular possession. And it usually is because we had a breakdown on the ball, either with just a one-on-one situation or a ball screen situation, or a ghost or a shallow or whatever it is, but it's always at that point of attack. And then you find yourself in a scramble situation and in a rotation, and we're awful at point of attack. It wasn't one person. There was a bunch of guys that, for whatever reason, weren't on it defensively, and I can't tell you why. If I knew, certainly during the game, I would have fixed it. And we've had some tape and some discussions and practice since that game on Friday, and that just can't happen. I mean, it just can't happen for us to want to have a successful season, and we've got to remain true to who we are and why we win. And for whatever reason, we lost our way on Friday in Phoenix.
We'll go across the front row with Benjamin, Sam, and Jacob.
A big opportunity in front of you on Wednesday night against a Pitt team that's number 5 in the initial net rankings. What stands out to you about them, and what's been behind their strong start to the season?
Yeah, they got a really good basketball team. They got obviously good players, well coached. They just seem to fit together. When you watch them on tape, it starts with their backcourt. The guys they got out there, Lowe and Leggett, are just really good players, and they got size and they got experience, and they work together really, really well. And then they got size and different kind of size. They got some stretch bigs, they got some old school bigs, and they got different guys that can be their quarterback, if you will, and their action that they run in the half court, and they just seem to play really hard for one another, and they've had a lot of success, and they're coming off a big road win against Ohio State, and like you mentioned, they're number 5 in the net, and I'm sure they'll be ranked in the top 25 when that comes out at some point today. And so it's an awesome opportunity for us. coming off, our last game, I couldn't draw it up any better to, have a chance to play against such a good team, especially at home, especially at home. And, but it'll be a challenge. It will definitely be a challenge.
Kind of just more on that defense you were talking about. What is just kind of the message to the team after the game and kind of going into Wednesday, and what kind of corrections do you think can be made so that doesn't happen again?
It's a good question. I mean, corrections, it's guarding the ball. Basketball, like a lot of sports, it's doing the same things over and over and over. It's not as glamorous as people think it is. Like, you got to guard the ball every single time. You got to jump to the ball. When the ball's shot, you got to check out. You got to rebound the ball. And that's why most people, when they do practices, they do the same things over and over, because that's what the game is doing the same simple, sometimes boring tasks over and over and over. And if you're not willing to buy into that or understand that, or get bored with it, then mistakes happen. And you don't think you have to do it anymore. We can outscore them, or we did it last night, I'm not going to do it tonight. And so I think it's more of just a mental discipline. I don't think it's anything physical. Certainly we had some breakdowns with foot angles, and the two guys involved in a ball screen not being on the same page with the verbal calls in order to put them in position to guard it correctly. And we had some breakdowns that way, and we'll be working on to try to correct those. But we've had June, July, August, September, October, to do all that. They didn't do anything that we hadn't seen, or run some new play that surprised us. It was just not being very detail oriented in what you need to do every single day to be a good defensive team.
Jacob to coach's right.
Coach Riley had a couple of big games over this past 3-game stretch. What have you seen? What did you see from him, and where would you like to see him improve going forward?
Yeah, I mean, everyone can see the talent. He's been told that for years, and it's a consistency thing with Riley. One day, he against Butler, he looked like he could score at will, but the day before, when we won against UNLV, he didn't look nearly the same. And that's the thing that he and us have to figure out, is what can we do to help him be more consistent with his approach. And the things that don't jump out unless you're watching it from a coach's perspective is the breakdowns on the other end. And I just mentioned that we had a whole bunch of them. It just wasn't one guy, but he definitely had plenty of breakdowns defensively. And we showed him the film like we've shown everybody else on our team, and hopefully he and us will learn and grow and be better.
Go to the camera in the back, Coach.
Coach, you talked about earlier this season that there was a moment in one of the games you took Hubbard off the bench cold because you wanted to see how you would respond, and now you guys have your first loss of the season. What are you looking for in your team, and what are you looking for, like how they're going to respond with a big opportunity on Wednesday against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, like any coach, how will they respond? Are they going to go into some mini team depression and feel sorry for ourselves and start pointing fingers at each other, or are they going to get deeper into the foxhole and realize that we screwed up and we're better than that? And I'm not trying to take anything away from Butler, because they're a well-coached team, they got good players, and it's a great program, and they beat us. But we didn't feel like we played our best, and that's what I told them. That was kind of one of my major themes when we approached it. Once we got back here, is that I can handle getting beat and getting bettered by another team, and leaving the arena knowing that we didn't win, but we competed and we played hard, and we gave it our best or close to our best shot, and they were just better than us tonight for 40 minutes. But that ain't how I felt when I walked out of the arena in Phoenix. And that's the thing I'm trying to get them to understand, is we can all handle that feeling, but the feeling that we had when we left there, that wasn't it. And we didn't compete at the highest level. We didn't compete like we did in practice. And the crazy thing is, the day before we did, and that's sports. That's dealing with young people, and it's our jobs to get them to understand that it's not going to work. It's not going to work over the course of the season. So I'll be curious, like everyone else will be, is what will our mentality be, come Wednesday when they tip the ball.